Okay, it says 45 degrees. I went tighten the shit out of it. Now we'll do some more digging with this famous end mill. Zero. That is what I use when I'm trying to set up angles and this stuff. Look, it's worked for me so far. Okay, just to show this in action of what it's doing and what it has done. I'm taking light cuts and very slow speed, so I just take 3 millimeters. And give it a little bit of lube. Give it another lube. Actually, when I get this job finished, what I'll do is I will take it over to the bench and show how much this is done, and we'll have a look at the end mill. Now, I had a look at it earlier on, I was pretty impressed. Absolutely no sign of wear whatsoever. And I got a few of these, and the only thing that tempted me was the price. And I thought, you know, they'll do for, you know, roughage work. And this stuff, as I say, is very, very hard. I was trying to mark it here with a hacksaw. Everything was only bouncing off it. I found that it was nice and easy. Now my speed's running pretty low. If I can trust it to up here, it's saying about 900, maybe slightly over 900 RPM. It actually feels a bit slow. That seems to be the best way it works. Also, this is a 16 mil end mill. Now, I actually damaged the 13, but that was my own fault. I just shot it into the workpiece, and I expected it to crap itself. I thought, oh, and now it needs sharpening. But not this particular one, the 13 needs sharpening. Like I say, small bit of lube, nice easy speed, it's amazing what it's doing. And again, we say that the price that tempted me, I thought, well, you know, I haven't the whole price to lose it to some roughing work or something. I did not expect it to. So, what's the final verdict? It's good and it's bad. Well, it's not all that bad. This thing managed to machine this stuff. Now, first off, this bloody thing was something I dug up here next door in an old farmyard. Now, we use it just for parking machinery, but my father bought it back in the 1960s sometime. There had been nobody there since probably the 1950s, and this was actually found under one of the foundations, so it's obviously there since the turn of the last century. It looks like it's an axle of a horse cart or something of that sort of thing. It would have been more than likely locally forged. This stuff is extremely hard. The bandsaw refused to cut it. I'd actually cut it. Now, I cut a bit before for something else and I found the same thing. Extremely hard. But this thing did. It took all this out. This is actually for a tool post, a tool holder I'm just trying to make a few spare ones, and I know this thing will last. So I took all that, cleaned it off, took all this out, took these out, and it was on the last one. It grabbed up here. Bloody light now is another question. So I was in, I think I was gone in down 8 millimeters and in about 4 millimeters or something. I thought I'd be okay, but it grabbed and totally lost one flute and lost about a bit more than half of another one. However, it did finish the job. It did finish it off, even though there was just a couple of runs left in it. So, would I recommend it? I would recommend them. Just looking at them now, I know the camera isn't going to pick them up, but the 2 flutes that survived, they are just perfect. You can actually feel the sharpness in them all the time, even after all that hogging and bloody cutting. Would I recommend them? Yeah. Would I get one again? Yeah, I'm actually going to order maybe 2 of them, although I will look. They have bigger sizes. There are 18, I think they're up to 22 millimeter. And the price at the minute, well, when I got them out, and that's only recently, it was a very good price on them with Gearbest. So I definitely, tonight I'm going to look, if they're still there at the same price, I'll definitely get one of these again. I might even look, because I know the prices are very tempting for the likes of a 20 or 22 mil. As best I can remember, I think they go as far as 22. I was amazed with it. Now, its finish was absolutely perfect. And even this one, it finished it. Even though, well, of course, the whole thing, when this whole fucking thing jumped, then it went a little bit deeper than needed there, but that's okay. I've tested it, it's fine. I think I may have gone in a bit too hard. Same thing happened to me with the 13. Now the 14 millimeter that I got, I've used quite a bit. But the 13, I was doing another job, and I was under a bit of pressure. I had about 22 of those to finish, elongate them, and just forgot myself for a second, and whoa! Now it was one of those sort of situations where for a second you duck, you're expecting bits to go in all directions. No. All that happened, even though this thing jumped out of the vise and everything, the way it jammed in it, all it has done, it hasn't even broken, but just that little bit of wear, slight bit of wear right on the very outsides of all of the, except one is still fine, but 3 of them, a bit of grinding, and that is back to normal again. Probably overhogged it on this one. Maybe I could have ran it at a slightly higher speed. I think I was around 900, and I don't know if it's doing 900 because the belt is dodgy in that thing as well. It's possibly less. I would say probably next time I'd be using that now, I would run it up to the 1,000 mark. Now, we're not going to throw it away because I could be wrong, but I reckon if I cut that again down here, I should be able to re-engineer it. To me, it's worth a try. Like I say, I was impressed with it because that stuff is hard. As I say, the saw wouldn't cut it. I'd cut it with an angle grinder, and at that, it's a battle. I don't know if I'm going to use any more of it for one of these. It's just too much. I might look around. it's a little bit on the small side. I could do with 5mm extra all the way around, or even a little bit more. Like I've had to let it suffer here a bit. You know, I'd have had to take it down too far. We'll see how that goes. I know this place is a bit rough in here, but that's due to this bloody tool. That's something I actually made that when I was working in BIM. That was back in the mid-70s sometime. And it was actually a local blacksmith that hardened it for me. Now he used to harden them in, you know, the blacksmith's fire. Even that time there was still quite a lot of horses in that, on the farms. So, you know, guy was still going. I was on in the years that time. But he did an unusual trick. He would have a big fire, you know, the fire would be half the size of this bench. And he'd redden, you know, your piece up there. And then in one part of the fire, he would have a pile of limestone chippings, or even small, broken up limestone. And he'd bury this in it for about, how much was in it? I think about 2 hours or something. And then he'd quench it. Now, I'm only guessing, but I think it had something to do with the carbon in the limestone. I'm only guessing that. But that hasn't been sharpened or anything. It's been used. I mean, it sat in the other shed there that I used to use one time. It's just sitting there for 30, 40 years. It was only maybe 3 or 4 years ago I took it out for... I was actually trying to make one with D2 steel, and then I knew I had something similar somewhere. I eventually found it, and I've used it a few times. So that was used to take out these slots. It still does, still works fine. It could probably do with being sharper now, but still okay. I mean, it worked on that. No, it struggled, but it did the trick. So that's it. As I say, yeah, I'll buy one. I'm actually going to check their site again tonight, and if the price is still the same, yeah, I'm definitely getting another 16. As far as I know, the price for the 20s, I think they went as far as 22 millimeters in diameter. Yeah, I did there, and they are steel. What do they call it? Silver, hard silver steel or something. What do you think? But yeah, the fact that it even attacked that to me at all, like they're good. I think the next time I would up the speed of the mill a little bit and still keep it going slower. So that's it. Just for interest for anybody, they are worth it. And that was some test. How didn't